Hello, today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of nurturing your relationships. Nurturing relationships is one of the most neglected activities, given how busy most people are becoming. But this activity became more important to me, or it even came into my awareness again when I attended a very good friend's service of songs before she was laid to rest. And time again, those who came to speak talked about how she took time out to nurture her relationships. She went out of her way to be part of her friends' important activities, despite the inconvenience or the sacrifice she had to make of her time. And throughout the service of songs, I observed that nobody talked about her bank account. Nobody talked about how much income she had. And that's usually what happens in this. But really was about the memories that those left to mourn are left with and the impact that she had on their lives. It's interesting that Stephen Covey, in his very famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about nurturing relationships as actually the most important activity that is important but not urgent. Important but not urgent. And that's right above personal development. And of course, the important and urgent activities are things like time deadlines, crisis, emergency, last minute preparations. And if you don't actually plan for these important and not urgent activities like nurturing your relationships, what happens is that you are constantly in the mood and never have time for this very, very important activity that when all is said and done, these are the things that are most important. So, how can you nurture your relationships, you may ask? One of it is to make it a priority. I've just talked about the fact that, that it's important, but it's not urgent. So it's something that you have to consciously make time out for it. Even ahead of, your business, building a business or work. So in your schedule, once a week, it's like, okay, who am I going to get in touch with? And intentionally do that. The second way to do that is also to show care. And, we all say, oh, care. But what does care mean? Care really means showing some interest in the person or your relationship or your friends' interests, aspirations, asking about how that person is doing. Not just even how that person is doing, but showing that you are interested in that person's success. Again, this takes time because really, if we're all in the busy work mode, trying to make a living and increasing one's income, then, it's like you don't have time for those small stuff. But that is important. The third way is to be trusting. And it's easier said than done. I've met several people who, for some reason, maybe somebody may have slighted them in the past, are not as trusting with relationships. It may be that, as I said, someone may have hurt them at some point in time, and so remain closed and do not want to be as vulnerable. But to nurture a relationship, you have to be trusting. You have to trust that the other person or the other people also want to be in that relationship. The fourth is to take the lead. And what do I mean taking the lead? It's going to take somebody who is going to make that first step, right? You may be saying, okay, I'll wait for that person, I'm so busy. But you take charge in building the relationship, in nurturing the relationship. My friend that passed would, for example, when she's making a native dish, Nigerian dish, moi moi, she would call friends around saying, look, I'm making this. Are you interested in that? That's taking the lead in that relationship. And we are so much better because she impacted our lives. I mean, because of her relationship, because of the relationship and the impact she left in my life, I've had to rekindle several other relationships. I felt, Neka, it's important that you take these relationships importantly. And it's not just having those good intentions. It's about taking that step, right? Making time out in your busy schedule to say, okay, I'm going to make a phone call to somebody. For example, yesterday, a friend had called me. Well, she took the charge, called, and we're having a conversation. I knew I needed to do this recording actually, but then what we're conversing was important, and I felt that it was important for me to listen, for me to stay in that. It was much longer than I planned, but I felt that I had been that listening ear that she was wanting. And the fifth way of how you can nurture a relationship is to listen. Most people like to talk. We all like to talk, right? And you want to also, share your own, whatever you're going through, or your thoughts or your comments, that it becomes even difficult to be quiet in a conversation, to really listen in to what the other person is talking about. So that's the way you nurture it. And the person who you're speaking to will know that you're actually taking an active interest in really understanding what that person is trying to communicate. And then you could be a friend in that manner and offer your thoughts, your guidance, or whatever, or even just not say anything, and then it shows that you are a kind of support system, or you're just there. Nowadays, with the advent of technology, with everyone being busy, people working virtually, that one doesn't even have time, or is not unless you go out of your way to get to develop a relationship. You could actually work 7 days, go through your life, it's a whole week, and you actually have not really had a quality conversation with a friend. Can you identify that? So you talk about your WhatsApp, your Facebook, text messages, and all that. That is a first step, obviously, in nurturing your relationship, but nothing compares to a phone call or out to have coffee with a friend, or lunch or dinner. And you just feel better, you just feel good, you feel that you have added value to someone else's life. So what about you? What are you going to do if you're not doing anything to nurture the relationships that are important in your life? I hope that what I've shared with you will rekindle, like it also rekindled my desire to nurture my relationships. So while you are working to live a successful life, endeavor also to make it a significant one. Bye.